Good morning. Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad that you could all join us this fine Tuesday morning. Hope everyone is doing well and are learning a lot as well from these webinars. But glad to see a lot of you guys are on time. So I guess we can be able to start. So hello, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Mitch Kaniero. I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, you do know during these webinars, we as the Afriforex team, early in the morning, we identified what trading opportunities we would be looking at taking for the day, and we do share that information with you. So as usual, not here alone. We do have John in the back office, so he is here to assist in whatever questions or queries you might have. So feel free to ask those questions either in the Q&A section or in the chat box, and the team will be there to respond to you. But remember, even if you ask questions during the webinar, I will be able to respond to all of them at the end. So we can jump straight into it. So as usual, we'll start off with having a look at our watch list. So I hope everybody can see my screen. So I guess let's start. So we'll start off here with our watch list. So you can see there's a slight difference between our watch list yesterday, on the Monday the 1st, and today. So the only difference is actually the New Zealand dollar. You can see the New Zealand dollar, we did have it on the buy side yesterday, as well as the Australian dollar, the British pound, as well as and the euro. However, you can see today it's no longer on the buy side, it has moved to the sell side. So our focus is going to be looking for buying opportunities on the Australian dollar, the British pound, as well as the euro. And we're going to mix all of these pairs with all these pairs on the sell side. So that's the Swiss franc, the Canadian dollar, the Japanese yen, the US dollar, as well as the New Zealand dollar. Now, in terms of fundamentals coming out later today, you can see the main thing that's going to be coming out is euro. So you can see the number of speeches at 10:30 and 11:30, but the main movements are going to happen at around 12. Because you can see any other time after that, they're just speeches. So the main data, so which includes the CPI, which is a high, or at least, yes, CPI, which is a high impact piece of news, as well as the unemployment rate. So do end up expecting a lot of volatility on the euro. But if you are on our Telegram channel, which I think there should be a link in the chat box, we'll end up informing you if there are any changes to the watch list. So this is our watch list for today. So right now, we'll end up having a look at the pairs that we did have yesterday, do a quick review, because remember, it's always important to do a review of the trades. It's not something that you just say it was going up and you don't look back at it. That's the only way we can end up improving, looking at what happened yesterday and ways that you can end up doing better. So we'll start off with the pairs that we're not going to be looking at. Start off here with the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. So most of the pairs that we're going to be looking at for review are the New Zealand dollar pairs, since they're not on our watch list for today. So yesterday we did have the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. On this currency pair, we were looking for buying opportunities. You can see the three areas that we had pointed out yesterday. Now at 10 o'clock, you can see price started attempting to go to the upside. There seems to be a small support and resistance area within this particular location. You can see the price did attempt to go up, but once the price approached the seller's area, you can clearly see this was definitely a problem area. The price struggled to actually breach this area to the upside. So at 3 o'clock, as well as at 4:30, you can see exactly where the market was. Did give a nice probe right there. Well, not necessarily a nice one, but you can clearly see a probe that happened, and it started bringing this price down lower. We're hoping to see the price coming back to one of these buyers' areas. However, we did end up getting some New Zealand dollar fundamentals earlier in the morning, which did end up changing the bias, bringing in weakness. And we can see, we have a look at all the other New Zealand dollar pairs during the Asian session, they did bring in a lot of weakness. So even though this market has actually pulled back, or it is pulling back towards a very interesting area, the probability of the trade working out really does go down. That's the reason why it is off our watch list for today. So unfortunately, no trading proper trading opportunity there yesterday. So moving on to the New Zealand dollar against Canadian dollar. Similar situation, our bias was to look at for buying opportunities based on these three areas. You can see at 10 o'clock when we were analyzing this market, we were within a seller's area. So we needed either the market pull back towards the buyer's area for us to look for a buy, or if we did get the price breaching and holding above, which you can see it did end up attempting to do, where it breached to just holding above slightly throughout the London session. So it seems that the London big boys did not have that momentum to actually push this price up higher. At 3 o'clock, we did get a small pullback coming back towards the small buyer's area. And you can see the market at 4:30 ended up reacting within that location. And you can see it did manage to go all the way up towards our main seller's area. But this one would have been a bit difficult to get. If you did manage to grab the trade and you just put your pending order or at least an alert and you take profit there, you'd have definitely come out with some profit. But you can see the market just spiked up, came back down, and it seems that the market continued ranging, it seems, between these two levels. You can see the price never went anywhere after that. But it seems during the Asian session, the New Zealand dollar weakness that came in, you can see the way the price has managed to come down, even breaking our red support and resistance area to the downside. So unfortunately for us, there's a pair that's going to be off our watch list for today. Now, the next pair we did have was the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Similar situation in terms of the correlation. You can clearly see yesterday during the London market open, price was within the seller's area, and the price struggled to actually break this area to the upside. You can see the many attempts the price was attempting to go to the upside, but it never held once. Came back in, holding below. It attempted again at around 3 o'clock during the US market open, trying to breach this area to the upside, but once it pulled back, it never held above within that area. So it managed to actually end up coming down, came close towards our buyer's area. You can see there was a small attempt to go to the upside, but this was earlier in the morning, or at least late last night. But you can see the New Zealand dollar weakness that came in. You can see the price coming down lower. So even though you can see it's still reacting within this buyer's area, we have seen the other New Zealand dollar pairs actually coming down lower. So there's the pair that's going to be off our watch list for today. So last but not least, the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Similar situation. Our bias here was to look for buying opportunities, but the bias clearly did not work out because you can clearly see we were holding within a seller's area at 10 o'clock. Wanted to see what happened at 3 o'clock when the price started pulling back down. Can see as it approached this area, we wanted to see whether or not the price was actually going to come all the way back down. But you can see it just came down, came up, managed to go all the way up towards the main seller's area. So if you're a very aggressive buyer, you might have been able to grab that opportunity. But the main thing we had wanted to see was that if the price had actually broken this area to the upside, we wanted to see the price coming back in and holding above. That would have given us a much better buying opportunity. But you can see when the price came down, it attempted to go up, but the fact that it came down quickly, this confirmed that that level right here, at least this level that we had in the middle, was actually broken. And you can clearly see as the price has continued coming down, even during the Asian session, this is because the New Zealand dollar weakened. So unfortunately for us, there's a pair that's going to be off our watch list for today. So before we jump onto the pairs that we're going to be looking at, since that's all the pairs that we did have for review, we'll have a look at a few screenshots that we did manage to get. So we'll start off here with Dan Bickett. Dan Bickett, it seems that you are loving the indices. We might end up considering adding 1 or 2 more, but it seems here you did end up taking the DAX 40. These are German, top 40 German companies, and you can clearly see the market seems to be in some sort of range. You did manage to end up waiting for the price to go up. As it came down, it seems actually brought a very high sell right there. The price came down, a very nice probe. So you can clearly see the price confirmed that this level was not actually broken, because you can clearly see the price has not once reached and held above this area. You can clearly see you're taking advantage of that range, looking for your take profit within a buyer's area. And you have really managed your trade. So very, very well done with this trade, Dan Pickett. It seems you also took the UK 100. Seems like there was some correlation coming in with all these indices, which we'll end up having a look at later on. But glad to see you grab the sell within a seller's area. You can clearly see the price coming down very low, or at least coming down in your favor. The stop loss is already below your entry, so meaning it is a risk-free trade. And you put your take profit at a very good area where the buyers could potentially react. So very, very good job on this trade, Dan Bickett. Keep up the good work that you're doing. So also next and last but not least, we also got John Chege. John Chege did manage to grab a selling opportunity, it seemed, on the British pound against the US dollar. I know yesterday we were looking for buying opportunities. Seems that the US dollar did end up giving us some very deep pullbacks yesterday, but the buys still did end up working. But it seems that once the price probe, we managed to grab a selling opportunity, a quick sell right there, taking profit within a buyer's area. So very well done. As long as you are taking advantage of the information that we're sharing, we are very happy to see that. So very well done on this trade, Joe. Check it and keep up the good work that you're doing. So remember, guys, if you do manage to take any setups based on things that we do share, feel free to send them in to us. It is a learning process. The aspect of when you send in your screenshots, we'll show you certain information, things that you're doing right, things that you're possibly doing wrong, things that we can end up helping you improve. So this is our way of trying to give back to you guys. So remember, these screenshots, it's not for us, it's for you. And no one really knows who exactly you are. But as long as you keep on sending them in, it doesn't need to be a perfect trade. Even if it's a loss, we'll try and end up helping explain what happened to that trade and what you could potentially end up doing better. So feel free to send them in to us. Our contact details are there in the chat box. So let's jump straight into today's pairs. So we'll start off with the Australian dollar pairs, mix and match them with the pair on the sell side. Do the same thing with the British pound as well as the euro before we do have a look at gold, silver, as well as a few indices as well. So let's start off here with the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, on this currency pair yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Now, you can see the three areas that we had pointed out. Now, unfortunately, we were hoping to see the price coming down a bit lower. You can see the timing that we always point out. At 10 o'clock, where the market was, we did end up getting some small pullback, coming back close towards this buyer's area, and you can see the market took off during the London session. Now, we did have this location right here. We did have a level here where you can clearly see the price. Once it did break this area to the upside, it actually maintained. So at 3 o'clock, price was holding within here, but you can clearly see the US big boys were not actually interested in looking for any trading opportunity. They were not looking for buys or sells on either the Australian dollar or the Swiss franc. And that's why you're finding the market was just actually ranging. At least today, during the Asian session, we have gotten a pullback, and you can clearly see the way the price has come back down towards this buyer's area, where the buyers ended up reacting from yesterday. And you can see that reaction. But back within this seller's area, you can clearly see the sellers are giving us some sort of small reaction. So overall, we'll still be looking for buying opportunities. Right now, the way the price has actually come down, and we are starting to see signs that the buyers could potentially be back, because you can clearly see these sellers who pushed down, the buyers have come back to challenge these guys. So ideally, what you could potentially do is wait to see what kind of reaction will these sellers do. If you see them coming in slower in comparison to how these these sellers came in, you could find the market giving us a pullback and actually giving us a buying opportunity to take the price up higher. Since there's a problem area, we could end up finding the market breaking to the upside. There might be another small buying opportunity to take the price up here. But this one is a bit more riskier because you're still close towards the seller's area. Remember, when you're trying to buy, try and buy as close to the buyer's area as possible and as far away from the sellers as possible. So at least if the market is going to go, it will give you at least some clear direction or at least some distance before you're actually able to take profit. So do watch out for that. But overall, we're definitely going to be looking for these buying opportunities. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting a slowdown of these sellers before we're able to look for those buying opportunities on the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. So I hope that's clear on the UDCHF as we move on to the next Australian dollar pair we do have, which is the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar. Similar situation. It seems that the markets at 10 o'clock yesterday during the Australian dollar pairs did end up working out. So you can see the price gave us a pullback. Similar situation that I have looked at. You can see the way the price came down. We get a pullback, coming back to challenge these sellers. And you can see the sellers came down, couldn't even go as low as they did before. And that was at around 10 o'clock, and you can clearly see the price actually ended up taking off very nicely from that area. This was even a small probe that did end up happening. So there was a nice buying opportunity, making sure to manage your trade within this seller's area. Now you can see during the US market open, at 3, we did end up getting a small pullback. It seems like it was attempting to come back to this small support resistance area where it tried to go to the upside, breaking this area. But unfortunately, you can clearly see the US big boys were not really interested in this because the market did not actually make any new highs or any new lows. The market just maintained between these levels. But at least during the Asian session, we are starting to get a pullback, which is what we're happy to see. So we'll still definitely be looking for buying opportunities on this currency pair. So based on these 3 levels, hopefully we can end up getting a pullback, a bit more of this pullback coming in before we're able to look for buying opportunities. But if this level doesn't hold, we'll end up looking for buying opportunities all the way at the bottom. So right now, we'll wait and see what happens. Let's wait for the sellers to slow down, give a sign that the buyers are actually interested. It seems that even though we have the level here, still watch out because you can clearly see the price has reacted from here before. And remember, when we draw these levels, the levels are area. It's not a specific price or that specific dot on the line. Remember, that's why we always draw this specific area, because as price gets close towards that area, end up looking for those entry criteria for you to end up looking for your trading opportunities there. So overall, we'll definitely be looking for buying opportunities. Right now, it's still on the pullback. Let's wait to see how this pullback ends before we're able to continue looking for those buying opportunities for the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar. Now, moving on to the next Australian dollar pair we do have, which is the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. Same correlation. You can see at 10, the way the price started actually going to the upside. But unfortunately, this one, we did not necessarily get that deep of a pullback that we wanted because price was still within a seller's area. But you can see once the price breached to the upside, there was a pullback and level confirming that that level has actually been broken. and did end up attempting to go up higher, not necessarily by much. We did get another pullback during the US market open, got a nice probe within here, and it attempted to go to the upside. But you can clearly see when the market turned, or at least the timing of when the market actually turned, or the highest point it was at exactly 4:30. So it seems that there was some issues there where the market actually started giving us more of a pullback. But definitely today, it seems like we're in some sort of range. So we could potentially be bouncing between these two levels. These are definitely levels that you need to watch out for. Still looking for those buying opportunities. But we know as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area, our bias should still be to look for buying opportunities. So one thing we're going to see is if we can get the price coming in a bit lower, potentially looking for a buying opportunity within the bias area. You can see where the price is right now. We're directly in the middle of the range. So there's no point of looking for any buy or any sell. If you look for any direction of a trade, you could end up getting a big headache, because if you enter your trade here, when the price is here, let's say if you look for a buy, you're negative. When the price comes here, you're positive. But then it will keep on playing with your emotions, where the trade is positive, negative, positive, negative. You want something where you enter the trade, it starts moving in your direction clearly. Because this will stress you out. You might end up closing the trade early. Then you find that's when now the trade ends up taking off. So that's the reason why we always encourage, look for the best areas to look for your trading opportunity. I don't think most people go standing on the side of the road waiting for a plane. You need to go to the places where planes are, where they actually take off. So it's a similar situation. Try and get the prices within the proper locations, because you have a higher probability of actually moving a very far distance from those locations. So let's wait and see what happens with the yen as we move on to the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Now, on this kind of pair, yesterday our bias was to look for buying opportunities. You can see at 10 o'clock during the London market open where it was, we're already within a seller's area. Wanted to see whether or not the price could reach this area to the upside and hold above, but you can clearly see that did not actually happen. Market ended up probing, actually ended up coming down lower. So this was just before 3 o'clock where the market came down, came back towards the buyer's area, giving us a buying opportunity just between 3 o'clock and 4:30. So you can see this was around 3:30 or so, where the market actually ended up managing to go all the way up, coming back towards the main seller's area where you should have managed your trade. But you can see the timings, that was around 4:30, where the price was at the highest point, and you can see the price ended up giving us a pullback. It never held above this area. You can see the price actually came below and held below. So today we've adjusted the level slightly, because according to this kind of spec, it looks like the US dollar did end up giving us much deeper of a pullback. You can see this market, if you're looking at the market structure, you can definitely tell we are in a range. So if we are ranging, the best place to look for your buying opportunities is at the bottom of the range. So it seems that if the price was at the top, we couldn't necessarily take off to the upside. But right now, since we're at the bottom of the range, let's wait to see. Now on the smaller time frame on the 15, for that kind of slowdown to happen. So if we will see some sort of slowdown, some sort of probe or price action signal within this particular area, we should be able to look for buying opportunities. We have a place we definitely need to manage our trade. But if we are able to break this area to the upside and the price falls above, we should be able to target all the way to the top of the range. Now be aware, if the price breaks below this red support and resistance area and falls below, then this pair will fall off our watch list. But if you can see the price giving us some sort of probe where it comes down, incites people that it's looking for sales, and in the pullback, the price actually comes back in and falls above, then definitely that would actually be a very good indication for us to look for buying opportunities on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So let's watch out for that and keep an eye out for the USD as we move on to the last Australian dollar pair, which we have, which is the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. So these are brand new entries on our watch list based on the fact that yesterday, both the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar were both on the same side of the watch list. But today, since the sides, or at least the biases have switched, remember the New Zealand dollar did end up becoming weak earlier today morning. And you can see the way the market was ranging, playing around between these levels. But once the news came out, or at least there was more New Zealand dollar weakness, you can clearly see the way the price has managed to hit this area to the upside. So overall, we're definitely going to be looking for buying opportunities. This market seems to be in a nice trend. So the fact that we are trending, you can see we do have a major support and resistance area. That was definitely a major resistance area. But now the fact that the price has moved to the upside, what we're hoping to see is if we can end up getting the price coming back in, giving us some sort of slowdown, price action signal, or whatever criteria you use to actually be able to enter your trades, whatever indicator or anything that you use, you can be able to actually jump in on a nice buying opportunity. Then make sure you manage your trade within this main seller's area. So I think this one is pretty clear cut, but be aware that as long as we're holding above the red SNR, we are still going to be looking for buys. So even if the price comes down and comes all the way down to the red SNR, that will actually give us a much better buying opportunity because remember, most people at that time will be looking for sellers. So we'll wait and see what happens, but definitely the buys are on. But if you're aware where we are right now, we're so close to the seller's area. So no buying opportunity just yet. This one we need to be patient, either a breach to the upside and the price holds above, or we actually end up getting that pullback coming in for us to potentially look for that buying opportunity. So that's it for all the Australian dollar pairs. As you can see, we have mixed and matched the Australian dollar pairs with the Swiss franc, the Canadian dollar, the yen, the US dollar, as well as the New Zealand dollar. So right now, we're going to do the same thing with the British pound pairs. And then after that, we'll do the same thing with the euro pairs. So moving on with the British pound pairs, the British pound pairs really worked out nicely for us yesterday. Those who are here yesterday will remember that we did point out that the British pounds were definitely showing strength. All we needed to do was wait for a pullback to actually look for those buying opportunities. And here is one. We'll start off here with the British pound against the Swiss franc, which yesterday we were looking for buys. Now, you do remember during the session that we had yesterday, the price was actually on its way up higher like this, and we did end up showing that this is definitely a strong buyer. What we want is a pullback coming in towards the support and resistance area because that level has actually been broken, and that would be the best place to look for buying opportunities. Now, if you take note of the time exactly that the price had actually pulled back towards this buyer's area, we look down here, it shows you 10 o'clock. So these times that we mentioned are not just for fun. It gives you a high probability of those trades working out. So you can see we did get a pullback. It wasn't as long as this, but if we do end up going down, let's say, for example, to the 3-minute time frame, you compare how the buyers in this situation came to the upside and how the sellers were coming down. You can clearly see they were definitely slowing down within that area. So there was a buying opportunity that was available for us on the British pound against the Swiss franc, and it did manage to continue going all the way up during the London session, as well as a bit during the US session. But you can clearly see this was mainly active during the London session. We look at the timing from 3 o'clock when the US market opened. What kind of activity happened then? Not much, because you can clearly see this was the bottom and this was the highest point, and we have not actually done anything at that point in time. Similar situation, even right now during the Asian session, they've even done less. So right now, what we'll be waiting for, remember the British pound and the Swiss franc are way more active during the London session. So let's see what ends up happening in this one. But definitely going to be looking for buying opportunities on this. So we will be focusing on these 3 areas. There's a sale area right there at the top. So definitely look for a buy as far away from this area as possible. Right now, the way we're coming down, let's hope to see if we can end up coming down a bit lower to end up looking for that buy, which seems like it most likely will happen. Based on the fact that, as you can clearly see, the way the buyers came up was quite strong. Compare how the sellers are coming down. They don't necessarily seem as if they're that strong. But at the same time, what we want to see is signs that the buyers are actually interested. Now, even though you can see a few green candles coming up here, if you compare the size of the candles, the way yesterday the price was moving up, these are not really the strong buyers, right? So what we want to see most likely is going to happen. You might find the price coming up a bit, inciting people. Now, all those people who are late buyers thinking now the price has broken a certain level, then you'll find the price actually coming back in. So after that, when all those people are stopped out, because where are they putting their stop losses? Right below here. So don't be surprised if the price is able to come back in, hold above, and then you'll end up seeing our buying opportunity coming in later on. But overall, we're definitely going to be looking for buying opportunities, but we want to see the sellers coming in, giving a discount, and signs of the big boy buyers actually coming in. So we just need to be a bit patient on this one. But if the buyers manage to continue taking off, once we get the price breaking and holding above this particular SNR right there at the top, then we should be able to continue looking for buying opportunities on the British pound against the Swiss franc. So hope that's clear. And we move on to the next British pound pair. And we can see the same correlation coming in. So on this kind of pair, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. What we did see when we were analyzing the market yesterday was this big move to the upside coming up. Remember, as you can clearly see, what we wanted to see, since the price was within a seller's area, we wanted to get a pullback. The pullback did come in, which you can see, but unfortunately just missed the location that we were hoping to see. But even if you did end up missing that trade then, because this was around 10 o'clock, just after 10, if you missed that trade, remember, once the price managed to actually go to the upside, break above, and was holding above, take note of the timing. Here we're dealing with the British pound against the Canadian dollar. This was just before 3 o'clock, where now at 3, the market actually took off to the upside. So we did get confirmation that the price was actually holding above this area. So we did end up getting two opportunities during the London session and the US session, but it was much clearer, or at least much more easier to take during the US session, where the market managed to continue going up higher. So today, the bias is definitely going to be looking for buying opportunities. So we'll be focusing on these three new areas that we'll be looking for buys. Right there, we're within a seller's area. So definitely look for buying opportunities as far away from this area as possible. Let's hope we can end up getting a pullback coming in, hopefully within the support and resistance area for us to look for our buying opportunities. But be aware, the main buyer who actually started taking off to the upside is right here. So we do know as long as we're holding above this particular red support and resistance area, our bias is going to be looking for buying opportunities. If the price breaks and holds below this red SNR, this pair will fall off our watches. So we'll wait and see what happens on the British pound against the Canadian dollar. The same way there was correlation yesterday, we could end up finding that as well today. So if you do end up seeing that pullback coming in on one pair, have a look at the other pairs as well. You could find some nice trading opportunities out there. So moving on to the next British pound pair, we do have the British pound against the Japanese yen. We can see similar situation. Yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities, and you can see that correlation that was coming in. So the price did manage to break this area to the upside. Remember, we wanted a pullback. So in this one at 10 o'clock, that's when it started giving us a pullback. The sellers came down slower, came back down towards the buyer's area, giving us a buying opportunity during the London session where the market didn't manage to go through the upside. But if you realize from 3 o'clock, not much really happened. It attempted to go up higher, but not really managing to actually maintain that. As you can see, the price came back in and has been maintaining within these levels. But definitely, we are going to be looking for buying opportunities on the British pound against the Japanese yen. So we'll be focusing on these three areas. Right now, we're so close towards the seller's area, so definitely no trading opportunity. And even the way the buyers are coming in does not look very strong. So the main thing we'll either wait to see a breach to the upside and the price holding above for us to continue those buying opportunities, or what we'll wait for is that pullback to come in. So let's see if we hope we can end up getting that pullback coming in. But by this time, all those people who are looking for buys, they had their stop losses within this area, they end up getting stopped out, then we potentially end up looking for our buying opportunities on the British pound against the Japanese yen. So that's it for at least the British pound against the Japanese yen. As we move on to the next currency pair, here we have the British pound against the US dollar. Seems the US dollar did end up getting a bit of strength yesterday where it ended up giving us some deep pullbacks, but we have seen that the way the market has slowed down, and that's the reason why we still have them on the sell side. However, if there are any changes and we do see any more strength coming in for the US dollar, we will end up informing you on the Telegram channel. But here for the British pound against the US dollar, yesterday looking for buying opportunities during the London session, we did see the way the price broke to the upside. Can clearly see we're waiting for a pullback. That pullback came in immediately, came back down. So by 10:45 or so, we were back within that buyer's area, giving us a buying opportunity. Fortunately, did not take off then, because you can see the price still managed to pull back again from 3 o'clock, came back to that area, confirming that level was holding before it attempted to try and go up higher. We have seen something similar on all the US dollar pairs, because you can see at around 4:30 or so, the price did end up spiking up before attempting to come down lower, giving us more deeper pullback. If I quickly go to the Australian dollar against the US dollar, you can see that spike that happened at around 4:30. I think also the same thing with the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar, that spike that happened. So it definitely has something to do with the US dollar. But all that selling, because maybe all those people who are jumping in on those buys once the price was all the way here, where were the stop losses? Below this particular area. So most of them got stopped out. And if everyone was thinking buy, guaranteed, most people are no longer thinking that this market is still for a buy, the way the price has come down. However, take note of the way the sellers came down. Yes, the sellers came down very aggressive the first time. But compare, after they pulled back, how are the sellers pushing down? Not necessarily very strong, right? And they managed to go from here just till here. That's not really a big difference. If you compare how they came from here all the way till here. That distance right there is very big. That shows the strong sellers. But if they only go till here, that's a much shorter distance. And now the next time they've only come till here. Like it's even getting smaller, and look at how the sellers are coming. They're definitely slowing down. So all those strong sellers that were there, I don't think they're necessarily there as much anymore. So overall, we're still going to be looking for buying opportunities on this pair. The way the sellers have slowed down is a good sign, but that's not the only thing we need. We possibly also need signs of big boy buyers actually coming in. We do end up seeing some aggressive buyers. That would give us a clue that we definitely, or at least that's the area that the buyers are going to be interested in, and we can look for buying opportunities. But be aware, since we're already back in a major buyer's area, if this price breaches this area to the downside and it does fall below, definitely this pair is going to be off our watch list. But do take note of, since we've seen this similar situation happening on all the US dollar pairs, have a look at other US dollar pairs to actually see, is that weakness going to continue coming in, or are we going to actually end up gaining strength? So we'll wait to see what ends up happening, but overall, we will be focusing on these three levels. So moving on to the next British pound pair, and the last pair that we do have, brand new entry on our watch list. And here we are going to be looking for buying opportunity. So overall, that New Zealand dollar weakness that really did come in, and you can clearly see during the Asian session, the way the price managed to go to the upside. So overall here, we're definitely going to be looking for buying opportunities. This one is pretty clear cut just based on the fact that we are trending nicely. We are in a trending market, as you can clearly see the higher highs and higher lows, and the fact that we are expecting support and resistance. So we take note of the levels. So there was a level right here. Once we breached the upside, this became a support. So it turned from a resistance to a support. Similar situation. This was a next resistance, it turned to a support. These are the clear indications that you can clearly see that this market does seem to be trending. So overall, we're definitely going to be looking for buys. And the best place to look for the buys, you can clearly see we have a support and resistance here right here. So if we can get the price coming in slowly, giving us some sort of probe or price action signal, we will be looking for our buying opportunities there. But be aware, as long as we're holding above the red SNR, we are definitely going to continue looking for buys. So even if the price comes all the way down to this particular location, the buys are still on. Only once the price breaks and falls below this red support and resistance area will this pair fall off our watch list. So let's wait to see what happens. If we can get the strength still coming in, because remember, the British pound is strong, the New Zealand dollar is weak. So most of those times, those pairs don't necessarily give too much of a pullback. So if we do see the price breaking this area to the upside and holding above, we might actually be able to find a buying opportunity at that point in time. So we'll wait to see what happens on this pair, but do end up watching out for correlation as well. So that's it for all the British pound pairs. You can clearly see we've mixed and matched the British pound with the pairs on the sell side. So right now we're going to move on to the last kinds of pairs that we're going to be focusing on, which are the euro pairs, before we do have a look at a few indices as well as gold and silver. So we'll start off here with the euro against Swiss franc. Now, similar situation. Yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Remember yesterday, as we were having this session at 9 o'clock, we can clearly see the price looked as if it was attempting to hold, or probe this particular area to come back in, because we did end up wanting to see either a pullback coming in or confirmation that the price was actually holding above. So it seems that the price actually reached the upside and it confirmed that it was holding above this area. There was a small buying opportunity at 10 o'clock to try and take this price up higher. There's a small other buying opportunity here, because you can see that was a small resistance area. Once it reached the upside and was holding above, at what time did it take off? At 3 o'clock. We can say the US big boys did end up giving it that strength to actually push it to the upside. Although, even though it did right now holding within the seller's area, you can clearly see the buyers are not necessarily looking that strong, but at the same time, there is no sign of any sellers. So ideally, if you do end up going to a shop and you're asking the shopkeeper for a discount, the shopkeeper is not willing to give a discount and you need the product, you will end up having to buy. So most likely this is what's actually happening. The price has gotten to a point where the buyers are expecting the sellers, or at least the shop, to actually give a discount, but the sellers are clearly not interested in that. So if that's the case, the only other option, and people are requiring it and demanding it, is the price to go up. So we'll wait to see what happens. If we do get the price reaching and holding above this area, then we might actually find the price going to the upside. But one other thing, since we're dealing with the euro against the Swiss franc, remember we have a lot of euro fundamentals coming out today. So what you might find out, that's what is possibly waiting for. So we might find that at 10 o'clock, the price actually starts coming back in, giving us more of a pullback. Then once the news events come out, so remember, those news events are coming out at around 12. So if we go back, you can clearly see all the euro fundamentals, even though there's 10:30 and 11:30, those are just speeches, but the main news events are coming out at 12. So you have CPI and unemployment rate. So that could be the catalyst for actually moving your trade. So if you find that, even though we mentioned the times 10, 3, and 4:30, if by 12 o'clock price is within a nice area, you might find some nice trading opportunities in them as well. So do take note of that on the euro against the Swiss franc. So moving on to the next euro pair, we do have the euro against the Canadian dollar. Similar situation. Yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Yesterday, as we're having this session, you can clearly see the price did actually start breaking this area to the upside. You can clearly see, as this illustration that I had pointed out, wanted to see the slowdown of the sellers. So the price came down, came at 10 o'clock, was holding within the, at least above this particular area, which did give us a small buying opportunity. Seems that these sellers actually continued holding. And the fact that during the London session, you can see from 10 o'clock, the price actually just was ranging. So the big boys actually weren't that much interested. The London big boys weren't that much interested in actually taking this price up higher. But if you notice, the price now pulled back within this buyer's area, and it was there at 3 o'clock. So from 3, you can clearly see the price managed to break this area to the upside, giving us another opportunity here. If we take note of what time that was, you can clearly see that was at 4:30. So the timings that we're pointing out do give you a high probability of your trade working out. So if you did grab a buying opportunity at 3 or at 4:30, you'd have been quite good to continue taking the price up higher. So clearly the buys worked out very nicely for us yesterday. Today, we're definitely going to continue looking for those buying opportunities. So we'll be focusing on these 3 areas right now. So main sellers area, and you can clearly see the way the buys were coming up, not necessarily very strong. These are the fears that we end up having. You can clearly see the price looks as if it's breaking to the upside, but when it comes back in, it doesn't hold above. It actually comes back in and holds below. This just confirms that that's just a probe, and you can clearly see how the sellers are coming in, which, remember, is a good sign for us. Since we want to buy, we need people willing to sell. So we want the price actually to come down lower, give us a very nice discount. We did end up just breaking this major SNR, so maybe we could end up getting this price pulling back towards this particular location before we're able to look for buying opportunities. That would be a much better place. And watch out for the other euro pairs. You could end up finding, since this one is pulling back, we just had a look at euro CHF, you might find it actually starting to give us that pullback, the similar situation as euro CAD. So we'll wait and see what ends up happening. But definitely let's wait for those pullbacks within those buyers areas, look for those buying opportunities. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next euro pair. Here we have the euro against the Japanese yen. Here, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Similar correlation coming in with most of these euros, where at 10 o'clock, the market did look as if it was reaching this area to the upside. And on the pullback, the price was actually holding above. But during the London session, they couldn't actually end up taking off. But we still got that pullback coming in at around 3 o'clock. That's when the market got the strength to break this area to the upside. In similar situation, you can see that proper breach to the upside. And once the price pulled back, you can clearly see the price holding above this location, attempting to go up again during the Asian session. So today, definitely going to be looking for those buying opportunities on the euro against the Japanese yen. We'll be focusing on these 3 areas. You can see the sellers area right there at the top where we did get issues. We're still getting issues again. We are seeing even this currency pair, the euro, pulling back down, which is what we want to see since all of the euros are within sellers area. Hopefully, we can end up getting those pullbacks coming in within one of these buyers areas, either within that SNR, or price can come back down all the way to this main buyer's area. So as the pullbacks are coming in, have a look at all of them. When you see one starting to react, check the other ones, and you could end up finding some clues that whether or not those buys could actually start taking off at that particular time. Because we can see yesterday during the London session, even though they attempted, they did not have that much strength during the London session, which was mainly during the US session that the price was actually able to go up higher. So we'll wait and see what happens as well today on the euro against the Japanese yen. So moving on to the second last currency pair that we do have. Here we have the euro against the US dollar. Now, yesterday our bias was to look for buying opportunities. You can see the 3 areas. Now, the price looked as if it was breaching this area to the upside, but remember, we wanted to see whether or not the price is going to come back in and hold above. It looks as if it attempted where it came in, attempted to go up again where it was trying to break this area to the upside. But if you realize, not once had it actually held above. So even though it went to the upside on the pullback, it didn't hold above. It attempted to go up again on the pullback, it never held above. So these were just 2 big probes that ended up happening. And the price, or at least there was no buying opportunity then. Then see, we did end up getting a small pullback coming in. Unfortunately, we're hoping to see the price coming back in within this buyer's area. There was a small SNR where it attempted to actually go up higher. But we have seen, since here we're dealing with the US dollar pairs, remember we had a look at the other US dollar pairs. It's around 4:30. That's when they all had some certain spikes that ended up happening, and they did end up starting to show a bit of strength. But these pullbacks that are coming in for the dollar, or the US dollar, you can clearly see the way they came down the first time, very strong. Now on the pullback, look at how they're coming down now. They seem to be way weaker in comparison to how they came down the first time. And remember, the main thing people want to do is incite people to look for sells. So most people were not jumping in on sells at the top here. Most people are actually jumping in on buys, all of them having their stop losses here. Those guys who moved their stop losses, they're probably over there. And once they all got stopped out, most people now started switching to look for sells, not necessarily realizing we're still within a buyer's market. So overall, we're definitely still going to be looking for those buying opportunities, pretty much have the same areas that we are looking at. So looking for buys based on these locations. Now, I'll quickly go up to the 1 hour time frame, be able to look at something quickly, where you can be able to see as the price went to the upside at the level that the price is actually reacting. So there seems to be some sort of level right here. You can clearly see this is a resistance area, a resistance area. Right now, the fact that the price breaches area to the upside, this is definitely a support area. So if you compare even the way the sellers are coming down, you might find that yes, overall, we're still looking for buys as long as we're holding above the red SNR, but you might end up finding the price actually pulling back within where these buyers ended up reacting. So just take note of these levels. So the price is pulling back, even though at times we'll expect the price to come back all the way here. Just watch out for this level as you could find the market sticking up at that particular time. So we'll wait and see what happens. But in this situation, if we do get the price breaching and holding above this area, then we might find we can be able to look for buying opportunities. But we need to see strong signs of big boy buyers in order for us to look for those buys. So hope that's clear as we move on to the last currency pair we do have, which is the euro against the New Zealand dollar. We can see that New Zealand dollar weakness really coming in. All of them look pretty much similar. All of them look as if they are trending fairly nicely. So overall, we're back in a seller's area. So no buying opportunities just yet. The main thing we're hoping to see if we can end up actually getting that pullback coming in towards one of these particular locations, giving us a sort of probe or price action signal for us to look for buying opportunities. But be aware, who was the buyer who took it up? It was right here. This was the main buyer who actually pushed up to the upside. And you can clearly see this happened during the Asian session. So if the price is able to break and hold below this area, it means that those buys were actually not real. And that means we will not be looking for those buying opportunities as well. So this one's pretty clear cut. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting this pullback coming in, giving us some sort of probe or price action signal before we're able to look for buying opportunities. So I hope that's clear on all the currency pairs. As you can clearly see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the buy side with all the pairs on the sell side. So right now, we're going to have a look at the indices before we do have a look at gold and silver. So we'll start off with the NASDAQ. We'll start off with the NASDAQ 100. Now, this currency pair yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. You can see where the price was when we were having this session yesterday. Well, within a seller's area, we wanted to see that pullback coming in, which you can see it attempted to come back in. The buyers, not much of a reaction. The sellers came in. We did end up getting a pullback, showing us a probe. We wanted to see whether or not the price was actually going to hold above. So once the sellers came down very aggressive, excuse me, once the sellers came down very aggressive, the one thing we wanted to see, remember, is a pullback confirming that the price is actually holding within this particular area. If it was holding below, we could have actually switched our bias and looked for sells. But remember yesterday, when we pointed out that when the British pound pairs were actually breaking to the upside, let me quickly go to one. So when the British pound pairs were breaking this area to the upside, remember we had pointed out we want to see the strong bias, but on that pullback to confirm that that level has been broken, we want to see a slowdown. We don't want to see it coming in aggressive. We want to see some series of lower lows and lower highs that will confirm to us that yes, the buyers are strong, the sellers are weak. We should be able to continue with the buys. But if you compare how the NAS 100 ended up doing, when the sellers came down, how did the buyers react? Very, very aggressive. That already should have been a warning sign that maybe you should not actually look for that trade. But you can see once the price managed to come up, so the sell was fake where the price managed to reach the upside. Once it came back in and held above, could have actually continued looking for buying opportunities. So this move to the downside was definitely something to incite people to look for sells. So if you look at it on the 4-hour time frame, you can clearly see this level is still holding. This level was never broken and it was just actually a probe. So once that confirmed that the price was still within the upside, you can clearly see there was a small buying opportunity then coming back towards this particular area. One thing about indices that I've realized is that even though we've mentioned the times 10, 3, and 4:30, a number of times they do end up getting active before the Asian market. So if you are late, someone who stays up late, maybe 9, 10 o'clock at night, even sometimes 11 at night before midnight, you will have a look at all the indices. You might find some sort of movement. And you can end up also backtesting. Look behind the past, what happens just before the markets end up opening. The number of times that you will find some sort of movement happening. So overall, here on the NAS 100, we're definitely still going to be looking for buying opportunities. Since that was a probe and a big probe, hopefully we can end up getting this pullback coming in. And if you can see how the sellers are coming in, they're much, much slower in comparison to how the buyers came in. So we'll definitely be looking for buys within the red SNR. So as long as price is holding above that area, we'll be looking for those buying opportunities. If we can get the price breaching and holding above this area, similar situation to yesterday. Excuse me. So the illustration can pretty much apply to even yesterday as well. So if we do get the price coming down in, giving us some sort of probe or price action signal, we could look for that buy. If we do miss that, can end up waiting for this level to be reached. And if the price holds above, then we should be able to continue looking for our buying opportunities, making sure to manage our trade within the seller's area at the top. So I hope that's clear on the NASDAQ as we move on to the Dow Jones, the US 30. Now, in this currency pair, buyers here was to look for selling opportunities, and you can see the sales worked out. It did end up giving us a very aggressive probe, which would have been quite difficult to get. So if you do end up looking at a smaller time frame, the 3 minutes, we're hoping to see when the price came back in, it's actually going to give us a pullback, confirming that the price is holding above. But sometimes these markets really just go quite quickly. So yesterday, even though we're looking for the sells, you can see the price did end up ranging throughout the London session. Not much activity since we are dealing with the Dow Jones. So once the US market opened, that's when we're starting to see big size candles. So the market still managed to get there. If you did end up grabbing a selling opportunity, or once the price came back in, aggressive sell, you could have worked out, because you can see the price managed to come all the way back down towards this main buyer's area. But you can see once the price came down and it pulled back, this gave us another opportunity to actually look for a selling opportunity there. So we pretty much have the same areas, because you can see as the price has reached and held below this particular area, hopefully we can end up getting the price coming back in within this buyer's area. But right now, the way the sellers are coming in, let's see, hopefully, if we can end up getting a bit more of a pullback to look for the sells. But overall, it seems in terms of market structure, we seem to be ranging and bouncing between these two levels. So the best place definitely to look for the sells will be at the top. But let's see what kind of reaction these buyers give. If there's no reaction, they are able to get the price breaching and holding below this buyer's area, we should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities on the Dow Jones. So I hope that's clear on the Dow Jones and the US 30. So moving on to silver. Now, silver worked out pretty nicely for us yesterday. Remember, yesterday we were looking for buying opportunities. So it was during around 9 o'clock where the market actually started breaking this area to the upside. It bounced off this buyer's area. So it did manage to give us a small trading opportunity, but at 10, you can't clearly see where it was. So we didn't manage to get that pullback. However, later on during the US market open, you can see once the price was in the seller's area, no buying opportunity unless we did get the price breaching and holding above. Once we did that, and you can see that was around 3, did get some small buying opportunity between 3 and 4:30 to attempt to try and come up within this particular area, because you can see the price didn't manage to end up holding within there, or at least bouncing within that location. Even though we did end up getting that pullback, it seems that the US big boys weren't fully interested. But you can see later on, we did end up still, if you still held on to your trade, the market still managed to get all the way to the main seller's area at the top. So overall today, the bus is definitely still going to be looking for those buying opportunities. Right now, we'll be focusing on these same 3 areas that we did have yesterday. So compared to where the market is right now, we are getting a pullback, which is what we want to see. So hopefully we can end up getting a pullback within this particular location, getting some sort of probe, a price action signal. Maybe this is not enough buyers. So you might find that the probe might even come in a bit lower, then you find the buyers coming in and holding above. If you do that, that will even give you more confirmation that the buy is on for us to look for the buying opportunities. If we are not able to grab a buying opportunity there, we can end up waiting. Because once the price breaches then holds above, so when we get that confirmation that the price is actually holding above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunity to continue taking it up higher within that particular location. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening, but definitely the levels are pretty much still the same. We might end up entering into some sort of range as well. So you might find that if this level doesn't hold, it could still come all the way back down to the main buyer's area. before the buy ends up working. Because right now, we wait to see as the pullback comes in, when the big boy buyers are actually going to get interested. So moving on to the last fan favorite of most people, here we have gold. Now on gold, the levels we had yesterday needed to be adjusted, mainly because you can clearly see yesterday at 10 o'clock where we were within a seller's area where the price was holding. We attempted to get a small pullback before the buyers attempted to go up higher, but you can clearly see when the price went to the upside, at 3 o'clock, that's when the price was all the way at the top right here, and the sellers came down very aggressive. We're hoping to see the price holding above within this area a bit better, but unfortunately, it did not. It ended up coming all the way back down. And it seems that the level needed to be adjusted, and it seems that the market is now ranging between these two levels. So if we are ranging, then definitely we know that ranges are not necessarily hard to trade, but the rules of a range are pretty easy to understand. So if you're looking for a range, look for buys at the bottom or sells at the top. But since overall we are in a buyer's market, the sells at the top could end up being more risky because remember, one thing that we're expecting is the price to actually break this area to the upside and hold above for us to continue looking for buy opportunity. So we'll wait to see what happens on that because since that's a possibility. So looking for the sells would be a bit difficult. Let's wait to see if we can get that pullback coming in back within the buyer's area for us to look for our buying opportunity. That one it's something that you're able to repeat day in and day out. And remember, the whole point with trading, you're not meant to retire after one day. The whole aspect is being consistent each and every day. So even if you're consistent with the way you're looking for trading opportunities and the way you enter, that will translate to also the results. So you'll start having consistent results as well. So let's wait and see what happens on this one. And yeah, let's see whether or not that breach is going to happen or it ends up holding within the range. So I guess that's it for all the current pairs, including gold and silver and a few indices. So this is the watch list for today. So you can take a note of that. Remember, we do have a lot of Euro fundamentals coming out today, mainly at 12 o'clock. So that's when the actual data is coming out. But we do have a number of speeches also in between. So just take note, if you're in on any Euro trade, make sure that you do end up managing your trade within those particular times. But remember, if you're finding it hard to end up looking for those entries and want more information about that, do remember we are having a program right here called the Afriforex Amplified program, where we will end up going deep into detail of how to enter your trades. We know entering a trade is actually, to be honest, the last thing or one of the last things you do. So there's a lot of things you need to end up fully understanding in terms of your foundation in order for you to actually be able to enter trades much properly. So if you are interested in this course, or at least this program where you'll be sitting with John and I each and every day. So after this session, imagine we'll be sitting down together for 1.5 hours, the same way we keep on mentioning 10, 3, and 4:30. We'll be sitting each with you guys at 10. We'll start looking and analyzing the markets, identifying what opportunities, even discussing things that we have discussed right now, and we'll look for trading opportunities as well together. So if you are interested in something like that, feel free to sign up. It's free to sign up. We've not asked anyone for anything, but we want to see how many people would actually be interested in this. So there should be a link for that as well in the chat box. So let me see if I can address any questions on the Q&A section. So not seeing much. So I'm seeing Daniela, you're asking to kindly display the watch list. So here's the watch list for you. You can be able to take a screenshot of that. So not seeing any more questions, which is okay. We do need at least around 2 or 3 minutes left before we are able to jump onto the London market opens and it's about to open. Let's see what opportunities we can end up getting there. So I'm seeing a quick question. I'm not sure if it's a question. I'm seeing Julius is saying hi. Hi, Julius. Hope you're well. Yeah, I'm not necessarily seeing a follow-up, but I hope you are well. But remember, if you do want to find out any information for us, you can end up giving us a call. So I'm seeing your question has actually come in saying, are there any preferred prop firms? There are a number because we do have a number of students actually who are actually funded with different prop firms. So we personally do not necessarily use them, but we can end up finding out because I know they've done a lot of research. So we have many traders actually who have trained who have actually gotten funding. So we can end up finding out a bit of information from them and possibly end up getting back to you on that. But at the moment, I don't want to lie to you and say this is the one, right? So let me get back to you. Hopefully tomorrow, we might get a bit more information and I can end up letting you know, right? Or we can possibly even make a small YouTube video as well. But thanks for your question, and I will make sure to get back to you on that. So I'm saying, okay, karibu sana. So I guess that is it from me and from us. We do have 2 more minutes before the London market open. So remember, this is our watch list today. Watch out for the euro fundamentals because there is a lot. So do take note of that. As well as if you are interested, feel free to sign up for the AMP, at Forex Amplified program. It's a new program. We're giving a big discount at first. So we do want to make sure if you guys come in, we'll try and make sure we give you guys as much value as possible. Even though it's a month guaranteed, we'll still be with you guys even after that. So I guess that's it from me and from us. Hope you guys have an amazing trading day. God bless. May the tips be with you. And bye for now. Cheers, guys.